Hi, my name is Muhammad ZAKI bin HERMAN and my metric number is 282335. For topics 1, I will explain the background that triggered the demand for the RM 10,000 EPF special withdrawal in 2022. The COVID-19 pandemic hit Malaysia hard. Many people lost their jobs or had their salaries cut due to lockdowns. In May 2020, Malaysia employment rate spiked to 5.3% with over 826,000 people jobless. At the same time, a report from Bank Negara Malaysia revealed that 71% of Malaysians didn't have enough saving to survive more than 3 months without income. In response, the government introduced 3 major withdrawal schemes. The first was AILES-3, launched in April 2020. It allowed contributors to withdraw up to RM500 per month from account 2 for a total of RM6,000 over 12 months. This scheme was intended to provide monthly relief for daily living expenses. Next is ICINA. Introduced in December 2020, this was more flexible, allowing eligible members to withdraw up to RM10,000 from account 1 depending on their balance. Since account 1 is usually reserved for retirement, this scheme marked as a significant shift. Then, KMICITRA, launched in July 2021, this was designed to continue supporting those still affected after the earlier program ended. It allowed members to withdraw up to RM5,000 in the stage. Even after those early schemes, many Malaysians were still struggling in 2022. The cost of living continued to rise. For example, food price increased by 4% and transport costs rose by 11%. A survey by Ringgit Plus in 2022 showed that 53% of Malaysians were unable to save money and 21% were relying on personal loans just to get by. Many unemployed people needed capital to start small business or work as e-hailing driver. Small traders also need money to restart operation. These financial pressures led the public to demand another round of EPF withdrawal. At the heart of the issue was dilemma. Malaysia needed immediately help, but withdrawing too much could affect their retirement saving.
Assalamualaikum, my name is NURSYAHIRAH binti HERMAN, number matric 282677. So now I will be presenting the timeline and the key events leading up to the approvals and implementation of the 10,000 special EPF withdrawal in 2022. This withdrawal scheme was a major policy move in the response to the financial struggle faced by the Malaysian during the post-pandemic periods. So let's us work through the timeline together. So by the end of 2021, Malaysia was still recovering from the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Many individuals, especially those in the B40 and M40 income, were experiencing ongoing financial hardship due to the jobless, reduced salaries and the rising cost of the living. As a result, public demand for another special withdrawal from the EPF started to grow. Many hope it could ease their financial burden and help them reboot after 2 challenges year. From January to February 2022, public pressure continued to intensify. Hashtags such as KWSP RM 10,000 and hashtag Suara Rakyat began trending on the social media platforms, reflecting strong public support for a new EPF withdrawal. Many Malaysians share their personal story pleading with the government to allow another withdrawals. What made this wave different was that it received strong support in the politicians from both governments and opposite parties back the idea. This created a loud and unified call for action. At the same time, a possible scheme called HERMAN began calculated online, although it was not yet confirmed by the governments. However, this move sparked concern from the EPF official and financial experts. They warned that allowing another withdrawal could seriously deplete people's retirement savings, especially for those who had already taken out money under previous schemes like MAISARAH and ICHTRA. There was growing tension between short-term needs and long-term financial security. Between middle February and middle March, several closed-door meetings were held involving key governments and financial agencies. These include the Minister of Finance, EPF, Bank Negara Malaysia and the Economic Planning Unit. They discussed several important issues like who would be eligible, the maximum withdrawal amount, how the application process should be managed online, and the most importantly, whether EPF financial health could withstand another round of withdrawals. Then on 16 March 2022, the long-awaited announcement was made by Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob. The government officially approved a one-off RM10,000 EPF withdrawal for all eligible contributors under the age of 55. This announcement brought relief to millions of Malaysians who had been waiting anxiously for government support. So from 1 until 30 April 2022, online applications were opened. So contributor could withdraw any amount between RM50 ringgit and RM10,000 ringgit depending on their account balance. So the withdrawal will be deduct from the account 2 and if need from the account 1. The fully digital process ensure a safe and convenient experience for application. 18 and 20 April, payments began to be disbursed. The EPF handled the process efficiently and many contributors received their funds quickly. This timing was crucial as it allowed many families to prepare for Hari Raya Aidilfitri with less financial stress. Even after these withdrawals, economic challenges continue. In 2023 and 2024, the public once again called for further EPF withdrawals due to inflation, stagnant wages and the rising cost of living. However, the unity governments rejected this demand, stressing that continued withdrawal would hurt people further retirement income. Instead, the governments aim to focus on long-term recovery. Starting in 2023, EPF introduced several recovery incentives. This includes first, voluntary contributions, especially for gig workers and the self-employed. Second, government's matching scheme for the P40 groups to encourage consistent savings and widespread financial literacy campaigns to educate the public on money management and retirement plannings. So, these efforts aim to reboot the EPF system and promote stronger financial habit among the Malaysians.
So, for the negotiation process, the parties include strategies, communication, and tactics. It includes, for approval, federal government, the decision maker, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, Prime Minister at the time, Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, and advisory and insights from the Employees Provident Fund (KWSP) themselves, and advocates that came from contributors and citizens. Okay, now a negotiation strategy is employed. So, from public and political pressure, the public utilized social media, online petitions, and political voices to pressure the government. Members of parliament echoed the demands in parliamentary sessions and media platforms. Consensus and compromise approach. The government applied a balanced strategy to address both short-term public needs and long-term financial sustainability. The withdrawal was permitted with specific limitations such as 10,000 ringgit only cap and withdrawals from account 2 only. Okay. The next one is risk management strategy. So KWSP enforced technical constraints such as requiring withdrawal from account 2 and maintaining a 100 minimum balance in account 1. The institution issued public advisories urging contributors to withdraw only if necessary. So communication in the negotiation process. So first, between the government and KWSP, discussions were conducted via cabinet meetings and internal ministerial consultations. And then between KWSP and contributors, information was disseminated through KWSP officials website, social media platforms, and special withdrawal application portal. And also communication between government and the public. Public communication occurred through official statements and press conferences by the Prime Minister and Finance Minister. So the negotiation tactic used for the withdrawal is members of parliaments and NGOs employed political and moral pressure on the government, and the government initially adopted a delay tactic to assess the impact before framing the decision as a social responsibility, and KWSP or APF used cautionary advisories to highlight long-term risks to retirement savings.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nama saya Noor NAJLAA AMIRAH binti RAHIM dan nombor matrik saya adalah 283521 dan saya akan menerangkan tentang challenge and solution in negotiation. Saya akan terangkan tentang cabaran dalam rundingan yang berlaku ketika keputusan pengeluaran KWSP sebanyak 10,000 ini dijalankan. Okey, pada Mac 16, 2022, satu press conference telah diadakan oleh Perdana Menteri ke-9 kita iaitu Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob yang mengatakan bahawa kebanyakan rakyat Malaysia ataupun sebahagian rakyat Malaysia masih lagi terjejas masih terjejas ekonominya ketika wabak COVID-19, pandemik COVID-19. Okey. Disebabkan itu, kerajaan telah bersetuju untuk membenarkan rakyat Malaysia mengeluarkan sebahagian jumlah KWSP iaitu sebanyak RM10,000 untuk proses recovery daripada wabak pandemik. Okey, walau bagaimanapun kerajaan decide untuk membenarkan rakyat Malaysia mengeluarkan, ada beberapa cabaran yang akan dihadapi. Okey, antaranya adalah stability fund EPF iaitu kestabilan dana KWSP. Seterusnya adalah fund ketidakseimbangan antara dana ahli-ahli KWSP. Seterusnya, impact on the domestic economy, dan akhir sekali adalah risk of insufficient retirement fund. Okay, first is EPF fund stability, iaitu kestabilan dana EPF, yang mana antara kestabilan dana kita akan lihat adalah kecairan EPF fund, lepas tu kekurangan dividen ataupun penurunan dividen yang akan diberikan, dan seterusnya strategi yang akan dibuat oleh EPF. Okey. Kecairan EPF fund, yang mana seperti yang kita semua sedia maklum, KWSP membuat satu investment long term punya aset yang seperti stock, properties, bond ataupun infrastructure. Dan apabila berlakunya pengeluaran yang besar menyebabkan KWSP terpaksa membuat keputusan menjual kesemua long term asset tersebut dengan harga yang rendah ataupun lower price untuk mendapatkan cash dengan cepat untuk diberikan kepada rakyat yang mengeluarkan KWSP tersebut. Okey, seterusnya adalah penurunan dividen, yang mana dividen yang akan diberikan kepada member mestilah di-generate through the investment. Tapi apabila the investment dah dijualkan, seperti yang saya terangkan tadi, dah dijual dan dah return yang member ahli-ahli EPF ni dapat pun semakin berkurang disebabkan kebanyakan long term asset tadi telah dijual sebab nakkan cash yang dengan cepat. Okey. which will cause a member long-term retirement saving to be affected. Ia menyebabkan juga long-term retirement member pun menyebabkan terjejas juga sebabnya dividen semakin berkurang. Okay, the strategy used by the EPF yang mana macam yang saya cakapkan tadi, apabila kita dah membuat satu pengeluaran yang besar, so EPF strategi yang EPF kena jalankan ataupun kena buat pun bertukar daripada mengikut keadaan semasa ekonomi tu, dan menyebabkan macam EPF terpaksa membuat short term investment ataupun senang untuk membuat satu investment yang senang untuk cair dan mudah dapat cash, dan usually provide a lower returns than risky. Tapi itulah investment ni bila kita buat short term, ia menyebabkan kepulangan yang kita dapat tu rendah. Next, EPF member fund imbalance, making the saving gaps between member increase because some members who make large withdrawals we reduce their savings, while some members who choose to maintain their saving without making any withdrawals we enjoy dividend returns and compound growth from the EPF investment. Okey, daripada sini kita dapat lihat jika kerajaan membenarkan pengeluaran KWSP dilakukan, okey, sebahagian ahli KWSP ingin mengeluarkan 10,000 dan sebahagian lagi mungkin ingin mengeluarkan dalam jumlah yang kecil ataupun tak pilih untuk tidak mengeluarkan langsung KWSP. Ia akan menjadikan satu gap yang besar antara ahli yang mengeluarkan KWSP, simpanan KWSP, dan ahli yang tidak menyimpan ahli yang tidak mengeluarkan simpanan KWSP. Okey, daripada situ apabila berlakunya gap yang besar ni, kita dapat bezakan yang ahli yang mengurangkan ataupun melakukan pengeluaran akan berkurang dividen yang didapat, dan dia akan efek juga retirement dia akan datang berbanding dengan ahli yang tidak mengeluarkan KWSP-nya kerana dia masih lagi dapat semua dividen-dividen dan masih lagi teratur dia punya retirement fund dia. Next, risk of insufficient retirement fund. Okay, yang mana dia adalah satu pengurangan dana persaraan. Okay, macam yang kita semua sedia maklum, apabila berlakunya pengeluaran sebanyak 10,000 dan sebelum-sebelum tu juga semasa pandemik berlaku, ada beberapa pengeluaran yang dilakukan menyebabkan kekurangannya dana persaraan ahli-ahli KWSP. Okey. EPF juga telah melakukan satu kajian terhadap ahli-ahli KWSP mereka, yang mana kebanyakan dalam akaun KWSP ahli-ahli kurang 50% daripada ahli kurang daripada 10,000 dalam akaun persaraan mereka. Ini menyebabkan KWSP rasa figure ni merisaukan dan menyebabkan kekurangannya dana untuk selepas persaraan mereka. Okey, macam yang kita semua sedia maklum, function KWSP ni ditubuhkan adalah untuk kita rakyat Malaysia membuat satu tabungan penyimpanan ataupun dana selepas hari persaraan, selepas hari tua. Tapi sekarang sahaja kebanyakan 50% daripada ahli KWSP dana retirement diorang kurang daripada 10,000. Ini menyebabkan apabila diorang dah bersara nanti, tak mungkin diorang boleh cover diorang punya hari persaraan. Ini menyebabkan akan jadi satu beban kepada masyarakat dan kepada kerajaan. If the retirement saving They will depend on welfare assistance provided by the government and need support from family and others community. Yelah, apabila kita dah bersara nanti, duit dana kita, persaraan kita tak mencukupi, menyebabkan kita terpaksa bergantung kepada kerajaan, bantuan kerajaan, bergantung kepada masyarakat, bergantung kepada family. Last but not least, impact on the domestic economy. We can see the impact on the domestic economy where in most member of who having retirement without sufficient savings will cause a deadline in long-term domestic spending as elderly in Malaysia will spend less and the burden of responsibility of the young will increase. Indirectly, this situation can have negative impact on economy growth in terms of domestic demand and social investment. Therefore, the government decision to allow people withdraw EPF saving is the step that we must take seriously from various angles to avoid problems that cause harm to the economy, society, and country. Next, solution in negotiation. I got four solutions that I give. First, limit emergency withdrawals or do withdrawals on stages. Second is provide incentive that attract members to replenish their saving. Third, the government can also provide or a contribution matching scheme for the B40 and M40 groups. Fourth, the government and the EPF itself should emphasize the importance of the key accounts. Okay, solution in negotiation. Our first one is limited emergency withdrawal or do we withdraw in stages. Okay, yang mana kita semua sedia maklum, semua semua pihak yang terlibat haruslah bersama berganding tangan untuk menyelesaikan masalah yang dihadapi jika berlakunya pengeluaran besar-besaran terhadap KWSP ni. Okay, seperti yang kita semua sedia maklum, kita boleh buat satu penyelesaian dengan limitkan pengeluaran kecemasan ataupun lakukan pengeluaran tu secara berperingkat-peringkat yang macam semasa pandemik COVID-19 mula berlaku, ketika pandemik mula berlaku, kerajaan telah membuat keputusan untuk memberi rakyat mengeluarkan EPF sedikit-sedikit seperti air lestari, air sina, air citra dan yang terakhir adalah special withdraw iaitu sebanyak RM10,000 telah dilakukan pada 2022 yang mana ia adalah salah satu cara untuk kerajaan membantu masyarakat yang masih lagi affected by the COVID-19 outbreak. Second one is provide incentive that attract members to replenish their saving. On the other hand, providing incentive that attract members to replenish their savings, such as providing tax rebate for voluntary contribution, meaning the member who make voluntary contribution that exceeds the mandatory contribution 11% can be given income tax so as they attract member from the middle and upper class to increase their saving. The third one, the government can also provide a contribution matching scheme for the B40 or M40 groups. Introduce a scheme where every RM1 saved by the member can receive a matching of 50 cents or RM1 from the government with a set limit. Okay, yang seperti contohnya untuk menarik minat, kerajaan boleh permulaan untuk macam dari 2 atau 3 bulan melakukan kalau kita menyimpan atau kalau ahli menyimpan, kerajaan memberi satu rebate ataupun kerajaan memasukkan semula duit ke dalam akaun yang sama sebanyak 50 sen untuk daripada setiap RM1 ataupun setiap RM2 tapi mempunyai limit, setkan limit ataupun setkan masa. Last but not least is the government and the EPF itself should emphasize the key account where the member are not allowed to make any withdrawal from the account before retirement. We all know that EPF has 3 types of account. First account is retirement account, 75%. The purpose is for the old age saving after retirement. The saving in this account cannot be withdrawn before the age of 55, retirement age, except for certain reasons such as deaths or disability. Next is account 2 or second account. It's welfare account, 15%. The purpose of this account is flexible withdrawal, but they are allowed for a certain reason or important in the member life. Example, it can be made in account 2, including a purchase of house, educational payment, medical treatment, and other things. And for your informations, iLestari, iSina, and iCitra is issued in account 2. And if this implementation is carried out again, the money will be issued will be through account 2. Last is account 3, flexible account, 10%. This is a flexible account which new implemented on May 11, 2024. The purpose of opening this account is so that members can access cash quickly for short-term needs. Account 3 is account where member can withdraw their savings at any time and can access it easily. The balance of account 3 is a permanent balance of always saving, and every month new contribution will come in as usual. The account can help member who need fund immediately without affecting their retirement account.
Hello, I am KHAREELLEE, matric number 266913. Background and purpose. In 2022, the Malaysia government allowed a special EPF withdrawal of RM 10,000 to support citizens affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and self-floods. While this provided short-term relief, it raised concerns about long-term retirement savings. Over 6.1 million long-term members were left with less than RM 10,000 in their accounts after the withdrawal. Impacts and challenges. In the short term, the program boosts household spending and help ease financial stress, especially for the B40 and M40 groups. However, it also created major challenge with many members, particular Bumiputra, contribute left with very low savings, some with less, and then RM 1,000, putting their future financial security at risk. Next, recovery and recommendation. To restore retirement savings, the EPF introduced space contributions and programs like MAISARAH. Financial literacy campaign are also being promoted to encourage better money management. The World Bank suggests creating an emergency fund to reduce public reliance on EPF during future crises. In conclusion, the RM 10,000 EPF special withdrawal in 2022 was not just temporary relief. It highlighted how public voice can influence national decisions. While it helped many in the short term, it revealed deep issue in the retirement savings system. This situation should not be repeated, but instead be a lesson for Malaysia to improve its social protection system. The government must now focus on building long-term solutions like emergency support, financial education, and encouraging savings. It was a necessary move during a crisis, but also a wake-up call for future planning and stronger financial security for all Malaysians. That's all. Thank you.